participate in the walkout that day. At the beginning of the day, the school released an announcement that the walkout that day had been canceled due to safety concerns. I had heard that other students were going out anyway, and I knew that I was too. It is in my opinion that if there had been more organization, communication, and transparency, then the tragic events would not have happened, and there would have been many more students out there with those changes. And as a junior, I felt incredibly guilty watching underclassmen be attacked on the street, which we believed to be a pro-ICE counter-demonstrator at the time. I felt incredibly upset when students who wished to participate were not allowed to exit the building to participate. And as the videos began getting passed around among students moments after application, we watched in horror as people that we knew or people that we saw in the hallways being choked out on the street. And so I am here today at this No Kings protest to communicate my concerns that our local government is following this trickle-down effect where people in power, especially people who pledge an oath to protect and serve our communities, abuse their power and believe themselves to be above the law. I have always held respect for the Quakertown Police Department, but the actions of the police chief undermine the trust of the student body. We may be high schoolers, but it is incredibly important that we utilize our voices and First Amendment rights to peacefully protest. One of the amazing things about our country is that we are given within our Constitution a right, no matter the age, to freedom of speech and freedom of peaceful assembly. It is imperative that we exercise our rights to advocate and demand change. In the United States, the power should always lie within the people, and we are the people. This country has always been, and should always be, and I quote Abraham Lincoln, a government of the people, by the people, for the people. The United States was built on the sacrifices of those who fought for the chance that future generations would live in a world with more freedom and equality than they had. And I am part of that future generation. As members of society, we are obligated to advocate. To fight. As members of society, we are obligated to advocate for the fight for the freedom and betterment of our communities. We want to be remembered here today as people who stood up not only for ourselves, but for others. The students at Quakertown say that no one is above the law, especially if you are entrusted to enforce it.
We're here for the speeches.
Thank you for your time. Continue to advocate for your beliefs, and don't let fear be what silences you.
Woo!
So, fuck Trump, fuck ICE, get up.
Yeah!
Betterment's gotta go. Betterment's gotta go.
Oh, he's circling around. My fingies are freezing. There's hundreds of people
start
here.
by reading Aaron Rumsey's speech, who could not be with us in person today. Thank you for being here, not just in presence, but in purpose. Showing up because this means something. It says we still believe in right and wrong, in accountability, and in each other. Belonging has never been about geography. It's about humanity, contribution, and the courage to build something better. It would be a disservice not to tell the full truth about this country. The United States is not just a story of opportunity, it is also a story of pain, of people brought here against their will, enslaved, abused, and stripped of their rights, of their history, culture, and families, of land taken, not given, from the First Nations people who were here long before colonization and long before others came seeking refuge and religious freedom. And still, everything we know today was built by people from all over the world. So the idea that our difference divides us, that's one of the oldest lies ever told. The truth is, our diversity is what makes America great, and none of us truly thrive without each other. Our last names tell that story. The countries our ancestors came from, the oceans they crossed, the risks they took. But crossing an ocean did not make anyone an American overnight. Just like crossing a river, an ocean, or any man-made border does not make someone less worthy of becoming an American today. Keeping it all the way real, the United States is just one small part of the Americas. Yet we use that word like it belongs to us alone. Being from the US does not make someone a patriot. Character does, integrity does. Standing for equal human rights for all people is what defines that. Something in this country does not sit right. And when your spirit tells you that, you don't ignore it, you answer it. That's what this is. This moment is bigger than headlines, bigger than politics, bigger than comfort, and bigger than silence. Let's be clear, something in our community still has not been righted, and we will never forget or stop fighting and facilitating justice for the Quakertown Five. The Quakertown Five are not just 5 names or just 5 brave students. They are a call to action, a line between accountability and avoidance, protection and harm, what is right and what is simply allowed. When any child is failed, it becomes our issue. Our children belong to a village, not to possess, but to protect. To say, we see you, we hear you, and we will stand for you, especially when it's uncomfortable. Righteousness isn't easy. It isn't convenient. It isn't quiet, and it is never neutral. It requires courage, clarity, and the willingness to stand anyway. Silence protects systems. Accountability protects people. And we are here because we choose people. We choose our children, their safety, their dignity, their future. And we will stand, not just today, but consistently. Not just when it's visible, but when it matters most. Integrity is not a performance, it's a practice. And what happens after this moment will define who we really are. We are not here just to feel something. We are here to do something. Justice is not something we wait for. It is something we demand, uphold, and respect. This quote resonated deeply with Erin, and although we do not know who to give credit, I share this with you, my community, out of love, peace, and the incarnate belief that the people here today and all over the country are making real and actionable change. A good life starts with a clear conscience, knowing you're not out here doing people dirty, hiding who you are, or screwing people over. That's what lets you sleep at night. Karma is real. Energy is contagious. Live accordingly. Stand accordingly. No kings. Drop the charges. Arrest McElry and every other bad actor who is a danger to our children, civil rights, and human rights. That concludes Erin Rumsey's portion of the speech. Now I'll read what I wrote. I'm Alexa McDonald. If you haven't met me, hi.
I'm here.
When I was asked to speak at No Kings 3, I was surprised. I really didn't understand why so many people were listening to me and what I have to say. I keep telling everyone I'm just some girl from Quakertown. And I've come to realize that's exactly why people are paying attention to me. I have stories to tell that not a lot of people have heard. I'm the adult child of an immigrant from Canada who was banned from re-entering the United States when I was 4 years old. When I was 5 years old, after experiencing homelessness due in part to my father's absence, we moved to Quakertown. When I was 9, I watched a boy on the playground calling another child a homophobic slur. I was called a drama queen for standing in to tell him to stop.
She wants a coffee from Carlton. Do you want something?
When I was 13, other students in my grade at Strayer Middle School
What do you-
threw rocks at black members of a high school football team and called them racial slurs. Don't recall many
just a coffee. You'll
consequences for that.
Coffee.
Okay.
I can't even.
When I was 17, I was brutally assaulted in the bathroom at Quakertown Senior High School, and the school largely ignored the incident as I was harassed for the rest of the year, and a video circulated around the school showcasing this assault. Now I'm 21, and I'm watching as the effects of Quakertown ignoring and covering up bigoted and hateful behavior for decades has turned into allowing our police chief in plain clothes to assault a child in broad daylight. And the only people to face real consequences for this incident are the child victims. Children facing unjust consequences is nothing new in this town or this country. I've attended protests, rallies, council meetings, and school board meetings to fight for these kids. I've learned a lot in this time. One thing I have learned is that sometimes all people need is a little encouragement to show their support. So many of us are afraid. We're afraid to show up because we don't want to be the only one standing out there holding a sign. We're afraid to speak out because we don't want to deal with the threats and harassment that come with it. I'm sure the student protesters were afraid on February 20th. These children are the bravest people I've seen in this town. I aspire to be like them, and we all should. I talked to my dad on the phone last night, you know, the one that's been in Canada since I was 4. He talked to me about the Canadian immigrants sitting in concentration camp in Texas. A 7-year-old autistic girl and her mother. They're both white. Their story is not that different from mine. Tanya and Ayla Warner. He talked to me about our last name, how this country does not view our name, which means spotted or freckled when translated from Italian, as a white name. I know this well. I've never met somebody that can pronounce my name correctly on the first try. My brother's teachers called him Wheezy because it was easier than pronouncing our name, and classmates would call me Cheese. He talked about how he was treated as a brown man during his time in this country, despite his fairly pale skin, due to his immigration status, accent, name, and culture. His parents immigrated from Italy to Canada at a young age, and he is still extremely culturally Italian and Sicilian. I'm afraid to say my full name publicly. It's a beautiful name, but it is clearly not a typical American name. Isn't that ironic? Alexa Domenica McDonald Chiazzese.
Yeah!
Thank you.
I got a pitchfork, man.
So I think it's time we chant a little bit about stopping the fascists, whether those fascists are here in Quakertown
Oh, you're good.
or in Washington. Stop the fascists in Quakertown and Washington. Stop the fascists. Stop the fascists.
Stop the fascists!
Stop the fascists. We demand you fascists stop. What? No kings. No. Fire ice. Fire Scott. No kings. Fire ice. Fire Scott! Buckeyes!
Buckeyes.
We won't ask the Buck Scott. He might enjoy it.
Thank you all for showing up and coming out here, using your First Amendment rights to assemble and join in the chorus of No Kings. Welcome to Quakertown. I'm excited the community we built for such historic reasons. This town was founded by Quakers who believe in community and compassion and understanding. John Fry's rebellion marched through here against wrongful taxation and freed criminals from imprisonment right up the street. The Liberty Bell took refuge right down the road, a couple of blocks over, and in Trumbowersville, and on its way towards liberty and independence for this country. We have quite the history of immigrants coming from overseas and across the country, including the Underground Railroad. And one of the first freed slaves to make a home and generational business was here. We have incredibly resilient families who've made history over and over again. And some of them are right here in the triangle with you. Look around. They might be standing next to you. We have a beautiful art that comes from this town, and we have wonderful teachers and activists and psychologists and lawyers. This town produces incredible people who think outside the box and on a higher level, who leave this town so they can function in government or in activism or in lines of outreach that we maybe not even thought about yet. We are capable of great things. I'm Megan, and like you, I am just another concerned and capable citizen, capable of starting a movement of information that becomes a wave of change and attitude. For you to come out here today took courage. It took preparation. You came out here for many reasons, but the biggest one, and the one I want to recognize, is that not one of you is complicit to the injustices in our country. Every one of you has the courage and the power to stand up for what's right and the power to make change. We are out here every Sunday from noon to 2 and sometimes longer to support our children and voice our opinion. And we want you to join us every Sunday, noon to 2. Come on out. I don't have to tell you how difficult it is to prevent yourself from mirroring the hate. You guys are seeing it already when someone is shouting back at you and your comfort is threatened. But I urge all of you to stand firm in your beliefs. Understand that peace does not mean being quiet. And your morals brought you out here because you cannot sit and pray for things to get better. You came here to share the load and carry it for vulnerable people who cannot, for fear of being persecuted, or for fear that they cannot carry that weight by themselves. But they need to know they are not alone. We are here, we are with them, and we stand united. Thank you all for taking that first step. I hope collectively we take a lot more steps today. And some people register to vote. And I hope even more of you start figuring out what seat and what place you can take in our government and our town to try to improve things. Because every one of you has a skill and a talent, and there are so many seats open. There are at least 10 seats open on committees right here in Quakertown. There's probably 10 more in Trumbowersville. I bet you there's about 30 over in Palisades and through Percy. And I'm pretty sure we got somebody working Telford already, right? All right. I bet you can find a seat in Telford too. Every one of you has a skill and a talent. And if you have an extra 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a week to think about a project, maybe use that little brain between your ears and put it to some good use. We want you on a committee. We want you to fill the seats in our local government, because if you can get onto your local government, you are now eligible to be part of the Electoral College, which is what? A big part of our problem. All right, I forgot where I was in my speech here. So, let's go. Justice for all and liberty propane. Every Sunday we're out here, and we are trying desperately to peacefully protest things like racism and bigotry, ICE, murder, civil rights violations, pedophilia, APAC, lies, and totalitarianism. Our kids did it. Our kids did it under gun threat, and 5 of them got thrown in jail after being stalked, harassed, cornered, and then attacked by racist bigots who were absolutely intent on preventing them from being able to speak out any further. Civil disobedience should be met with an inexcused absence from school, or maybe a little talk about how we can peacefully assemble. Not one of these kids deserve to be traumatized that way. I know that every one of you agrees with me. We stand united with our youth and with the diverse population that is our United States of America. We are people that believe these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women were created equal. Not only were we created equal, but we deserve equal rights and equal justice. Our forefathers wrote the Constitution as an imperfect document. We've added articles and amendments and stipulations onto it to promote these rights in the pursuit of happiness. Every one of you came out here because you believe in that document and because you believe that paying your taxes means that you ought to have representation in our government. I want all of you to think today about what it is that you can do to help us solve the situation. I know that you can find an open seat. It's not going to be hard. Look around town, look in your own town, look everywhere. You're going to find a seat. You're going to find a committee. You're going to find a planning commission. Join it. Get yourself in there. Because the more of us there are there, the closer we are to our goal. Last but not least, by the way, there is a tent over here. There's an information table. If you guys haven't gotten over there already, get yourselves registered and go talk to Upper Bucks United. Get some information. I know there's a girl over there who's got half a list of the empty seats. So, last but not least, if you're not already stretched too thin, get out there. Let's get some civilian oversight over this police department and put a few ears and eyes in those chairs that are going to listen and respond. Make your voice heard, and while you're at it, talk to people. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to the people at the bar, talk to the waitress at the restaurant, talk to the people in your church, talk to the people at the park. The more information we share, the more conversations we have about the difficult subjects, the closer we are to this goal. We need to have those hard conversations with people who are ready to debate and learn. We're going to kill them with kindness. We need to overpower hate with understanding, because people have the power. You have the power. You have the power to change, unless you haven't registered to vote. Go see that tent over there. Now, see, one of these days I'm going to figure out my phone. The incident in February that happened only 2 blocks from here is because not enough of us were out there to fill those seats, and a child-choking MAGA chief with a history of calling immigrants illegals and Democrats communists, a man with a history of leading our police department into multiple civil rights violations, which led to lawsuits, 60 grand plus. This same man was put into that position as borough manager so he can effectively be his own boss, because we don't have enough of us in those seats. So let's go, guys. Nice call rolling. We need you guys We need all of you to do that little thing that you know you can do to help make these changes happen. You know your limits, but I believe in you. I believe you've got bigger balls than any of these people who are spewing hate back at you. Try to share your wisdom. Try to share your ratchet. Be the voice of understanding. Be the voice of reason. You do what you know is right. We need you to because you can, and too many people can't. If there's nothing else that you want to do but come out here and help us protest, then come stand with us in support of our kids every single Sunday until we have justice. Today you're practicing. Meet your neighbors, network, talk to people, introduce yourself. Tomorrow, go find yourself a seat. No kings. No justice, no peace. Fire McElry. We the people stand united. Thank you, guys.
Now, she has told you to get involved locally. Get involved in local politics. Get involved in your local community. Any way that you find some place where they are working on things you want. That's how we make the change. You are the change.
Yeah.
You are the change. We are the change. All right.
I don't know where Andy and Elena went. Oh, there they are. I see Elena.
Right now, what I'd like to do is another chant. This one on a little bit larger scale. We want to stop the war on the American people, the people of the world, and Iran. So here we go. Stop the war. Stop the war. Stop the war on the American people. Stop the war on the people of the world. Stop the war in Iran. Stop the war in Gaza.
Stop the war in Gaza.
Stop the war in Syria.
Stop the war in Syria.
Make peace, not war. You know, I was standing here during the last talk, and we had a counter protester here in his diesel vehicle, spewing black smoke out of his vehicle. And you know that diesel cost him $2 more today than it did just before the war started. He is spending his expensive money to spew black smoke on us, thanks to the war. I look around and I see so many great signs. And it makes me wonder why we have been so bad at messaging in Washington. We have been resisting, we have been seeking changes in ICE by saying judicial warrants. We cannot even make that basic point. Stop violating Fourth Amendment. Stop violating the Fourth Amendment. And while you're at it, stop violating the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, and the 25th Amendment. Do not take our votes. We will not let you. Thank you so much for being here. We will be back in a little while.